unveiling the fiercest Native American tribes in history. While many Native American tribes were powerful in their own right, 3 tribes are particularly feared for their unmatched ferocity. These tribes weren't just formidable, they were downright terrifying, tearing through any opposition in ways that would send shivers down your spine. On this video, we're revealing 3 of the deadliest Native American tribes you might not have known. Before we dive into this chilling history, be sure to like and subscribe for more insightful content. Just hearing the name of this tribe was enough to instill fear, even among other native tribes. Known as the Lords of the Plains, their name comes from the Ute word Comanche, meaning someone who always wants to fight, or simply enemy. The Comanche's roots trace back to the Shoshone tribe, who lived in the western United States in a region known as the Great Basin. Anthropological findings reveal similarities between these tribes, such as language and lifestyle. Their language belongs to the Uto-Ashan family, which includes various native languages across the western U.S. When European settlers, especially the Spanish, introduced horses to North America in the 16th century, these animals gradually spread among the indigenous tribes. The Comanches traded with neighboring tribes, like the Pueblo, who had Spanish influence, or other plains tribes that already had horses. Through these trade networks, the Comanches acquired horses, exchanging buffalo hides, captives, or other resources with horses. They quickly became expert horsemen, expanding their territory far beyond their Shoshone homeland. The plains of eastern Colorado and western Kansas, rich with buffalo, attracted the Comanches. They became exceptional equestrians, using horses for hunting, trading, and warfare. Horses not only provided transportation, but also symbolized status and power. Within Comanche society, Comanches were unmatched in horsemanship. Children learned to ride at a young age, and both men and women developed remarkable riding skills. The Comanches had a unique talent for capturing and training wild horses. Once they spotted a wild horse, they would rope its neck, choke it until it fainted, and then bring it back to consciousness by carefully blowing into its nose. They then clean the horse, remove wild hairs around its eyes, and fit it with a headstall to control it. The wild horse would be paired with a calm mare, forming a bond and familiarizing it with human presence. After a few days, the horse was released, but stayed close to the mare. When it was time to ride, the handler would lead the horse into deep water or a sandy creek bed, which helped reduce its resistance and cushioned any falls if the horse bucked. Its rider, William Blakemore, an Englishman who lived with the tribe for 8 years, sat on foot. Slow and awkward, but on horseback, graceful. They are the most expert and daring riders in the world. In battle, the Comanches were terrifying. They would sweep down on their enemies with deafening war cries, concealing their entire bodies behind their horses, except for one foot, and discharge bullets or arrows with deadly accuracy over and under their horses' necks. Each Comanche had a favorite warhorse, which they only rode into battle, and even the women were fearless riders. Lassoing antelope and hunting buffalo, the Comanches grew rapidly in power. Known for their relentless and brutal warfare, they were fiercely determined and exceedingly violent with their enemies. After Spain acquired Louisiana from France, Spanish soldiers reported that the Comanches were unparalleled in horsemanship and fearless in battle. The Comanches didn't make peace easily. They were bold and tenacious, killing many European settlers and making it nearly impossible for the French, Spanish, and Americans to take their land. The Comanches were so fierce that they single-handedly halted Spanish expansion. For nearly 50 years, General James Wilkinson of the United States described the Comanches as the most formidable indigenous group on the continent. Initially labeled as horse thieves, the Comanches gained a fearsome reputation through their ruthless raids, which were so intense that northern Spanish and Mexican settlers referred to them as the Comanche Moon. In these brutal night raids, hundreds of Comanches on horseback would invade Mexican settlements, massacre men, abduct women, and steal horses. When European settlers crossed their lands, the Comanches would attack, steal their horses, and later sell them to the Spanish, Mexican Empire, or the Americans. Despite being a relatively small tribe of around 40,000 people, each Comanche owned 2 to 3 horses. In their culture, young warriors had to prove their status through frequent raids, showing their ability to kill and steal. This was the only way to gain prestige, wealth and respect within their families and bands. Comanche women were known for their skilled and merciless torture methods inflicted on captives. Once at the mercy of a Comanche woman, enemies would pray for death. S.C. Gwynn, author of Empire of the Summer Moon, wrote that no other tribe in the history of Spanish, French, Mexican, Texan, and American presence in the region inflicted such widespread havoc and death. There isn't even a close second. Gwynn vividly describes the demonic brutality of Comanche attacks on white settlers, where torture, killings, and gang rapes were common. The Comanches' raids followed a grim logic. All men were killed, captives were tortured, women were gang raped, and babies were killed. T.R. Fahrenheit Bock, author of Comanche, The History of a People, recounts a tragic incident involving the Parker family, early settlers at Fort Parker. In 1836, around 100 Comanche warriors on horseback approached the fort. One warrior waved a white flag to deceive the Parkers. Fahrenbach details how Benjamin Parker stepped outside the fort to parley with the Comanches, only to be surrounded and speared by their lancers. The Comanches charged the fort with loud war cries, killing the two Frosts, father and son. Before the women, John Parker was brutally mutilated, scalped and left for dead. Granny Parker was impaled to the ground with a lance, and endured unspeakable assaults. The Comanches were notorious for torturing captives, including American and Mexican soldiers. Some were roasted alive over open fires, others were castrated and scalped while still conscious. One particularly gruesome method involved burying captives up to their chins, cutting off their eyelids, and exposing their eyes to the burning sun until they starved to death. Historical accounts also tell of Comanche staking naked male captives over red ant beds, sometimes after cutting off their private parts and stuffing them into their mouths, sewing their lips together. In another cruel tactic, captives were sewn into untreated leather and left in the sun as the leather dried and tightened. It slowly suffocated the prisoner. According to T.R. Fahrenheit Bock, a Spanish account reveals that the Comanches tortured Indian captives by burning their hands and feet until the nerves were destroyed, amputating these extremities, and then repeating the fire treatment on fresh wounds. The Tonka were scalped alive, also had their tongues torn out to silence their screams. Before we reveal the next deadliest tribe, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee, or Six Nations, is another powerful example of indigenous political and social organization in North America. The roots of this formidable alliance trace back to the collaboration of distinct tribes like the Mohawk Oneida, Cayuga and Seneca. The Mohawk, situated to the east, were known for their strategic location and interactions with early European settlers. The Oneida, with roots in the Great Lakes region, and the Onondaga, positioned in central New York, added to the Confederacy's diversity. The Cayuga and Seneca, residing to the west and south, respectively, further strengthened this alliance with their unique contributions. Interestingly, the name Iroquois wasn't originally from this confederacy, but was given by the Algonquins, well-known enemies of the Haudenosaunee. They were often referred to as Iroquois, a name meaning rattlesnake. Why such a name? Simply put, the Iroquois were masters at silently approaching their enemies and delivering not just the swiftest, but also the most lethal blows. Before their enemies could even react, many able-bodied warriors would have already fallen. The Iroquois were known for their strong and assertive nature, frequently expanding their territory by raiding neighboring tribes. They easily struck fear into the hearts of many, defeating countless Native American tribes. Among those heavily impacted by their raids were the Huron, Erie, and Saskatchewan. From a young age, Iroquois youth underwent military training, perfecting their skills with bows, arrows, spears, and clubs. During their adolescent years, they joined raids against rival Native American groups, and on occasion, white settlers. This early exposure to warfare shaped them into fierce fighters who fought without hesitation, driven solely by the desire for victory. Demonstrating military prowess not only earned individuals respect, but also opened the path to becoming a war chief. One particularly grim aspect of Iroquois warfare was their treatment of prisoners. Captives were often subjected to the harrowing ordeal of running the gauntlet, a fearsome ritual, where they had to sprint between two lines of Iroquois warriors, armed with thorny sticks and branches, enduring physical punishment. This practice underscored the intensity of intertribal conflicts and the strict military culture within Iroquois society. The Beaver Wars, which spanned the 17th century, were a brutal period for the Iroquois Confederacy, as they engaged in conflicts aimed at expanding their territory. One of their notable conquests was the subjugation of the in what is now Pennsylvania. Additionally, the Iroquois significantly weakened the Huron people around the Great Lakes, further consolidating their influence in the region. By the early 1700s, at the peak of their power, the Iroquois controlled vast territories, stretching from the western lands to the northern reaches of Michigan and southward to the hills of Tennessee. What set the Iroquois Confederacy apart was their extraordinary ability to maintain unity among the different nations within their confederation. This unity was especially evident during the French and Indian War, when all the Iroquois nations aligned with the British. As the Bible verse says, "And if one prevails against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Unity indeed builds a formidable nation. The Apache people are part of the southern branch of the Ethabuscan group. The languages of this group are spoken across a large family in Alaska, Western Canada, and the American Southwest. Different branches of the Apache tribes lived across a region that stretched from the Arkansas River to northern Mexico and from central Texas to central Arizona. The Apache not only survived, but thrived surrounded by powerful empires, successfully navigating challenges posed by the Spanish, Comanche, Ute, and American influences. Living in rugged terrain, the Apache became masters of mobile guerrilla warfare, armed with traditional bows and more modern rifles introduced by European powers. It is said that Apache warriors could fire multiple arrows in a single shot, while expertly riding a horse. The survival strategies of the Apache were deeply rooted in their exceptional skills in stealth and surprise, forming the foundation of their military prowess. They were, in simple terms, masters of hide-and-seek. This ability allowed them to execute sudden and unexpected strikes against their adversaries, catching them off guard and demoralizing them. Apache warriors skilled in surprise attacks would emerge swiftly from hiding, launch precise assaults and retreat just as quickly into the terrain they knew so well. One remarkable aspect of Apache warfare was their skill in raiding. They demonstrated an unparalleled ability to cover vast distances rapidly, whether on foot or horseback. This mobility, combined with their strategic expertise, enabled them to strike with precision and retreat before their enemies could recover from the shock. The Apache seamlessly integrated Spanish horses and steel weapons into their warfare tactics, showcasing their adaptability. They quickly learned to wield lances and knives with impressive speed, further enhancing their effectiveness in battle. General Crook's description of the Apaches as the tigers of the human race aptly captured the formidable nature of these warriors. Their ruggedness and physical prowess were such that they could outrun cavalry on foot, displaying an exceptional level of agility and endurance. In battle, Apaches exhibited remarkable skill in archery, releasing 7 arrows into the air before the first one even touched the ground, a testament to their quick and precise marksmanship. When it came to torturing captives, they did so without a hint of remorse. Enemies were skinned and burned alive, and the children of their foes met a grim fate, their heads smashed against walls. Adding to their cruelty, they held in high regard anyone who could invent a new method of torturing captives. To sum it all up, these 3 tribes will forever stand out as those who effortlessly instilled fear in the hearts of all their enemies. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. Stick around for our latest updates by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you.